The temple was silent. Its walls were broken, its roof cracked by centuries of storms. Dust covered everything, but in the center of the ruins, faint blue symbols glowed on ancient stone. Alien scholars stood in awe, their shadows dancing in the light. The air smelled of old stone, of forgotten time. They whispered among themselves, careful not to disturb the silence. These ruins were older than their own civilization. The writings, the strange marks, they were not of their kind. The lead scholar, a tall figure with silver scales, leaned closer to the wall. He read the strange script out loud. They could not be erased. The words echoed in the chamber. For a moment, no one spoke. It felt as if the air itself carried weight, pressing on their chests. The words were carved thousands of years ago, yet they felt alive. One scholar finally laughed. His laugh was sharp, nervous, like he wanted to break the tension. "This is a myth," he said. "Nothing but stories from old cycles. It speaks of the humans." At that word, others began to chuckle too. The sound grew, bouncing off the walls. The humans, a supposed lost species. Every child in the galaxy had heard the tale. Once, long ago, they were said to have roamed the stars. But history claimed they were weak, chaotic, unable to survive among greater powers. Their colonies fell, their fleets shattered, their name almost erased. Humans were nothing, another alien scoffed. Weak, noisy, always fighting, they could not last. Their laughter filled the ancient chamber, mocking the very words. Carved into the stone, but one young researcher stood apart from the group. His skin was pale, his eyes large, and unlike the others, he did not laugh. He studied the wall carefully, tracing the glowing script with his hands. His voice trembled, but it carried certainty. "You are wrong," he whispered. The others turned to him. "Wrong? About what?" The young researcher pointed to another line of symbols, half buried under dust. He cleaned it with his hands, revealing more words. They hid among the stars. The chamber fell silent again. The older scholars frowned, shaking their heads. "Superstition," one of them muttered. "Legends of a forgotten species." But the young researcher's eyes burned with conviction. "No, look closely. These markings, they are not just warnings. They are maps, traces. The humans did not vanish. They left something behind." The elders dismissed him with waves of their hands. "Do not waste your mind on dead ghosts," they said. The humans were erased by history. The galaxy moved on. And again they laughed. Far away, light years from this ruined temple, signal flickered across a dark screen. Deep underground, on a distant barren planet, a human outpost lay hidden. From the outside, it looked abandoned, an empty crater, a wasteland of stone. But beneath the surface, vast tunnels stretched, filled with glowing consoles and silent figures. Humans, alive and watching, sat in silence as the alien discovery appeared on their monitors. The scholars' voices, their laughter, their mocking words, all were recorded. Every insult stored in secret files. A human commander stood behind the operators, arms folded. His face was calm, but his eyes were cold. "They found another one," he said softly. The officer beside him nodded. "The temples are opening faster. Now, they are getting close to the truth." The commander did not respond. His gaze remained fixed on the flickering image of the temple, on the glowing words. They could not be erased. He whispered, almost to himself, "No, we could not." The scene shifted back to the temple. The scholars prepared to leave, dismissing the ruins as nothing but superstition. They packed their tools, ready to report to the Galactic Council that the human myth was nothing but carved lies. Their reports would be full of arrogance, filled with certainty that humans were long gone. But as the young researcher lingered, unwilling to leave, he noticed something. At the far end of the chamber, hidden behind fallen stone, was a sealed doorway. Unlike the rest of the temple, it glowed faintly, pulsing with strange energy. His heart pounded as he brushed away the dust and rubble. The door opened with a low hum, releasing stale air from ages past. Inside was a small chamber, untouched by time. In the center, carved into the floor, was a star map. Dozens of glowing points marked ancient star systems. But among them, one point burned brighter than the rest. It was a small system on the edge of the galaxy. A forgotten system. A world most aliens thought irrelevant. The name burned across the floor in symbols older than memory. Earth, that the young researcher gasped. He wanted to call the others, but something in him held back. Some instinct told him this was dangerous knowledge, something the council would never want revealed. Behind him, the sealed door began to close. The chamber fell back into silence, the star map glowing faintly as if waiting for someone who already knew, and far away in the hidden outpost. The human commander gave a quiet order. "Mark the system," he said. "They've found the first key." The humans knew what was coming. The galaxy thought they were gone, but humanity was only waiting. The Galactic Council chamber was vast, a circle of high towers suspended in the skies of Clitha Prime, windows of crystal open to the stars, and hundreds of alien representatives filled the hall. Each race carried its own pride, its own history. Together, they believed themselves the guardians of truth. Out at the center stood the team of scholars who had returned from the ruined temple. Their silver-scaled leader bowed, his voice echoing through the chamber. "We have uncovered another archive," he announced. "Deep within the ruins of Altheris, we found inscriptions. They tell the old myth again, the tale of humans." The hall stirred with whispers. Some delegates smirked, others rolled their eyes. The word humans still carried a strange weight, like a ghost at the edge of memory. The elder scholar continued. The tablets spoke of their persistence, that they could not be erased, that they hid among the stars. Laughter broke across the chamber. Representatives from the proud Abath clans slapped their feathered wings together, mocking applause. A scaled warlord of the Trath Dominion growled with amusement. Humans? Again? How many times must dead myths be dragged before this council? They were weak, another delegate shouted. Every record agrees. They fought among themselves. They wasted their strength. They collapsed long before our empires rose to power. The elder bowed again, nodding as if in agreement. Yes, honored council. We present this only as historical curiosity. We found no proof of their survival. The myth is just that, a myth. The council relaxed. Chuckles echoed through the chamber. But in the far back, the young researcher who had uncovered the hidden star map stood frozen. His hands trembled. At his sides, his mind screamed. They are lying. He could still see the glowing chamber, the star map carved into the floor, the single name burning brighter than all others. Earth. But when he tried to speak, the elder silenced him with a sharp glare. "Do not embarrass yourself," the old scholar hissed under his breath. "The council does not care for children's fantasies." The young researcher's voice cracked anyway. "Wait, the ruins." There was more. A sealed chamber. It showed silence. The elder's shout rang across the chamber. All eyes turned. The council leader, an ancient being with translucent skin and eyes like cold glass, leaned forward. His voice was calm but cutting. "Young one," he said, "you suggest that humans may still exist?" The hall erupted again. Delegates shouted, mocking, waving their arms. The laughter was crueler this time, sharper. The young researcher felt their scorn pierce through him. "They are dust," someone yelled. "Stories for hatchlings," cried another. "A broken species erased by history." The council leader raised his hand, and the noise fell away. His glassy eyes fixed on the trembling researcher. "Be careful, child," he said coldly. "Some myths are dangerous. Do not give them life again." The young researcher's throat went dry. He wanted to argue, to show them the truth, but the words died inside him. The council chamber felt colder, heavier. He understood then, this was not about truth. It was about control. The council did not want humans remembered. Far away, in the hidden human outpost, every word of the council session played across glowing screens. The laughter, the insults, the silencing of the researcher, all recorded. Human commanders stood in the shadows, arms folded. Around him, officers and analysts listened in silence, their faces hard. "They mock us again," one officer muttered bitterly. "Every time our name is spoken, it is followed by laughter." They. Commander's voice was calm, but it cut like steel. "Let them laugh. Their laughter blinds them." On the screen, the council moved to its final judgment. The leader declared, "The myth of humans is hereby dismissed. No resources will be wasted on further investigation. Their ruins shall remain. Sealed, their memory shall fade." The delegates clapped their hands, wings or claws in approval. The sound was deafening, triumphant. To them, it was over. But in the shadows of the chamber, the young researcher clenched his fists. His heart thundered. He had seen the map. He knew the truth. And though he stood small and powerless, he whispered to himself, "They are not gone." That night, the young alien sat alone in his quarters. The stars outside his window shimmered cold and distant. His people thought him foolish, but the image of the glowing star map haunted his mind. Earth. The name pulsed in his thoughts like a heartbeat. He began to copy what he remembered, sketching the star map by hand. Every glowing system, every line. Carved in the floor, he drew them in secret. His claws shook, but Night was cold on Clither Prime. Wind howled across the crystal towers of the capital, carrying dust from the barren deserts below. Inside a small scholar's chamber, the young researcher named Kale worked by the dim glow of a datapad. His claws scratched furiously across the screen, copying every detail of the hidden star map from memory. He had been told to forget. The council had laughed, dismissed him as foolish, and silenced his voice. But Kale could not forget the chamber. In the ruins, the glowing symbols, the carved constellations, and the single word etched deeper than all others, Earth. Every time he closed his eyes, the image returned. It was not imagination. It was not myth. It was truth. But truth was dangerous. Kale's datapad beeped suddenly. A message flashed across the screen. Council order. Investigation into human myths is forbidden. Any further pursuit will be punished. Kale's throat tightened. He knew the council watched everything. His quarters were not safe. He turned off the datapad, wiped his sketches, and pressed his hands against his head. "They want me blind," he whispered. "They want everyone blind." But he could not stop. That night, Kale left his quarters in silence. He wore a dark cloak, pulling the hood low over his face. The towers of the capital stretched high above him as he slipped into the underground transit. His destination was the restricted archives, a vault beneath the city that stored ancient records. Records the council never allowed to be discussed. The guards at the archive doors stood tall, their armor glimmering blue. Kale walked past, them with shaking hands, holding a forged clearance chip he had copied from his elders' codes. His heart raced as the scanner beeped. A pause. Then the gate opened. Kale stepped inside, fighting to keep his breathing steady. The vault was massive. Rows upon rows of crystal tablets glowed faintly, each containing fragments of lost histories. Cold light filled the chamber, and the silence pressed down like stone. Kale moved quickly, searching for one thing: records of humans. He dug through data shelves, calling up tablets that spoke of old wars, vanished colonies, forgotten empires. Most had nothing. But then, a flicker. A tablet showed an old battle. One fought thousands of cycles ago on the edge of the Orion Arm. The report was fragmented, corrupted, but Kale's eyes locked onto one line. The human fleet resisted, longer than predicted. Casualties inflicted on Dominion forces. Severe. Kale's breath caught. The Council had always said humans fell quickly, weak, and divided. But here, in forgotten records, was evidence of strength. He dug deeper. Another fragment spoke of hidden colonies. Another of strange technologies. Each piece was small, incomplete, but together they formed a different picture. Humans were not weak. They were survivors. Kale's hands shook as he copied the data into a hidden drive. But suddenly, footsteps echoed behind him. He froze. A voice rang out. "You should not be here." Kale turned slowly. In the shadows stood his elder, the scholar who had silenced him in the council chamber. His eyes glowed faintly in the vault's light, cold and sharp. "Kale," the elder said softly, "you are clever, but foolish. Do you not understand? The council buries these records for a reason. Humans are not to be remembered." Kale swallowed hard. "Why? Why erase them?" The elder's face darkened. "Because their story is dangerous. If people learn, they survived longer than we were told. If they learn humans might still exist, fear will spread. The balance of the galaxy will break." Kale took a step back. "Then the council lies. They choose comfort over truth." The elder's voice grew sharp. "Truth is not always safe. For your own sake, forget this. Destroy your notes. Never speak of Earth again." Kale felt his heart hammer. His claws tightened around the hidden drive. "No," he whispered. "I will find the truth." The elder's eyes narrowed. "Then you will not live long." Before Kale could reply, alarms blared. The vault lights flashed red. Guards stormed in, weapons raised. Kale's instincts screamed. He darted between the rows, clutching the drive to his chest. Energy blasts lit the chamber, shattering crystal tablets into sparks. The elder shouted, but Kale did not look back. He ran, through corridors, through shadows, until he burst into the cold night air. His cloak was torn, his breathing ragged. But the drive was still in his hands. He had proof now not far away. Deep in the human outpost, the commander stood before a wall of screens. The council's alarms had been detected. Their spies confirmed a scholar had stolen fragments of human history. Officer frowned. "Should we intervene? If the council captures him, the records will be destroyed." The commander's face remained unreadable. He watched the flickering screens, the image of the young alien running through the night. "Not yet," he said quietly. "Let him run. Let him search. A seed of doubt has been planted in the council's garden. It will grow. And when the time comes, we will reveal ourselves." The officers exchanged glances. None spoke. The commander's voice lowered to a whisper. "The galaxy still laughs at our name, but laughter cannot erase us. Not anymore." Back on Clither Prime, Kale collapsed inside a dark alley, clutching the drive close. His body shook, his lungs burned, but his eyes burned brighter than ever. "They tried to silence me," he muttered. "They tried to bury the truth. But humans are not gone. I will find them." And above him, the stars stretched endless and cold, waiting for the name that could no longer be erased. Kalon Earth. The city of Clither Prime never truly slept. Neon lights flickered across the spires. Markets glowed with alien colors, and the great council towers loomed like watchful eyes. But for Kale, The world had become a cage. Every shadow felt like a spy. Every step echoed with danger. Since his escape from the archives, whispers followed him. Guards lingered near his quarters. Strangers watched him too closely. The council knew he had taken something. They were waiting for him to make a mistake. Cale could not stay. If he did, the truth would die with him. That night, Cale sat inside his chamber with the stolen drive resting on his lap. He replayed the fragments again. Broken records of battles, lost colonies, and scattered coordinates. One set of numbers burned brighter than the rest. A star cluster at the edge of the Orion arm dot. It was far. It was forbiddance. But Cale felt it deep in his chest. The path to humans lay there. "I have to leave," he whispered. "I have to follow it." The risk was enormous. Travel beyond permitted sectors required approval, and he had none. If caught, he would be exiled or executed, but Cale was no longer afraid of punishment. What terrified him was silence. If he obeyed, the truth would be buried forever. He packed quickly, a small rucksack, a cloak, and the stolen drive hidden in a hollowed-out book. Then he left his chamber for the last time, slipping into the night. The spaceport was alive with motion. Traders shouted over the roar of engines. Smugglers whispered in corners, and freight crews hauled crates into shuttles. Cale kept his hood low, moving through the chaos. He had one goal: find passage off-world without being noticed. He approached a cargo pilot near the docking bay, a thick-scaled reptilian with tired eyes. "You seeking transport?" The pilot growled. Cale nodded, voice steady though his claws trembled. "Yes, to the Edge systems." No questions asked. The pilot's eyes narrowed. Edge runs are dangerous. Raiders, warlords. The Council doesn't patrol that far. "I'll pay," Cale said quickly, sliding a pouch of credits forward. More than the journey was worth. The reptilian weighed the pouch, then grunted. "Fine. Keep your hood up. Don't cause trouble." Cale exhaled in relief. His journey had begun. The freighter lifted into the skies of Clither Prime, engines roaring as the city fell away beneath him. For the first time in his life, Cale saw the planet's towers grow small, the Council's grip shrinking with every kilometer dot. He pressed his face to the viewport as the freighter broke atmosphere. Stars flooded into view, vast and endless. Somewhere among them lay the truth. Somewhere humans dot, but as the freighter jumped to faster-than-light speed, Cale felt unease. He was not alone. A dark ship had detached from the port moments before, them shadowing their trajectory. Cale had not noticed in the noise of departure, but now he felt it. A hunter in the void. The Council was watching. 3 jumps later, the freighter docked at a way station on the edge of neutral space. Cale slipped away from the pilot quickly, blending into the crowd of merchants and wanderers. The station smelled of oil and smoke, its walls marked by graffiti and trade banners. Here, laws were weak. Secrets could survive, if one knew where to look. Cale found a quiet stall in the lower market. He laid out his stolen fragments on a portable reader, piecing together the map again. The coordinates grew clearer now, pointing to a cluster of abandoned star systems. Few traders went there. Too empty, too silent. But Cale saw something more. Faint symbols within the data, etched like warnings. They were not alien. They were human. He whispered the name aloud, testing the sound. Earth. The word carried weight, like stone falling into water. It felt old, powerful, forbidden. Suddenly, a shadow loomed over him. "You should be careful saying that name," a voice rasped. Cale looked up sharply. An old merchant, cloaked and hunched, stood before him. His eyes were tired but sharp, as if they had seen too much. "You know it?" Cale asked, heart racing. The old merchant leaned close. Long ago, I carried goods for fleets that bore no banners. They paid well, but they always asked for silence. Their captains, they were human, or something close to it. Kale's breath caught. Humans survived? The merchant only. The alien fleet moved closer to Earth's system. Massive ships shaped like spears and blades cut through space, their engines burning bright. Alien commanders spoke with pride, believing history was repeating itself. To them, this was simple. They had crushed humans long ago, and now they would finish what their ancestors had failed to erase. Inside the flagship, an alien general addressed his officers. This is not war. It is cleansing. A galaxy will finally forget the name of human once and for all. Laughter filled the bridge. Their arrogance was heavy, their confidence absolute, but they were wrong. On Earth, the quiet silence was broken. Deep underground, the hidden bunkers came alive. Red lights glowed across giant command halls. Old machines, thought to be only relics, began to hum with energy. The walls shook as ancient reactors powered up, releasing energy not seen for centuries. General Elias stood in the center of the war room. His face was calm, but his eyes burned with determination. For decades, we endured in silence, he said to his commanders. For decades, they thought we were gone. But the ancients failed to erase us. Today, we show the galaxy why. His voice echoed through the chamber, steady and strong. Screens across the room lit up. Star maps filled with glowing red lines. Every secret base, every hidden station, every ship long buried under rock or ice, now awakened. The hidden human network had waited for this moment. Humanity's endurance had not been weakness. It had been preparation above Earth's atmosphere. Cloaked satellites turned and locked onto alien ships. Signals whispered through space, carrying coded messages. On distant moons, buried silos opened slowly, releasing the scent of ancient metal. Doors that had not opened for centuries now groaned as light hit them once again. The alien fleet commander smiled coldly. What can they do? Throw rocks at us? His crew laughed. They expected resistance, but only weak, desperate moves. Them, humans were insects fighting giants. Then, space trembled. Out of the darkness near Jupiter, massive shadows appeared. At first, they looked like asteroids drifting silently. But as the alien fleet approached, the rocks shifted. Lights flickered on their surface. Panels opened. Engines roared to life. They were not rocks. They were warships. Ancient human warships, hidden for generations inside asteroid fields. They emerged one by one, their size dwarfing even the alien cruisers. Their hulls were dark, scarred, but strong. Some bore symbols of old Earth nations. Others carried strange new markings never seen before. Together, they formed a fleet that had been sleeping, waiting. The aliens froze. Impossible, one whispered. They were supposed to be extinct. The lead human ship, Eternal Resolve, activated its comms. A single message rang out across the battlefield, spoken in calm, clear words. You tried to erase us. You failed. Now you will remember. With that, the first volley fired. Energy beams ripped across space, slicing through alien shields. Explosions burst across the enemy lines. Alien cruisers spun out of control, their hulls torn apart. Panic spread across their fleet. They had never expected this. They had prepared for a broken, forgotten species. Instead, they faced the power that had endured in silence. Growing sharper with time. In the war room, General Elias watched the screens. His officers cheered, but he remained serious. Do not underestimate them, he said. The ancients were powerful once. They will. Fight hard. But remember this. They never understood us. They never understood that endurance is strength. His words struck like iron. The young alien researcher, still on the archive world, watched the battle from intercepted feeds. His hands shook. The myths were real. The warnings on the tablet were true. The ancients had tried to erase humans, but instead they had created something worse. A civilization that waited, learned, and prepared in silence. The alien council chambers erupted in chaos. Leaders shouted at each other, blaming the commanders, blaming the historians, blaming the arrogance that blinded them. But deep inside, they all felt the same fear. They had laughed at the signs. They had dismissed the warnings. And now, the humans had returned with fury. The fleet of Earth surged forward. Every shot was precise, every move planned. The galaxy was watching. Billions of screens across alien worlds broadcast the battle. The same phrase was repeated again and again across fearful voices. The humans endured. As alien ships burned and fell, the truth became clear. Humanity was not a forgotten myth. They were the storm that history had promised, and this storm had only just begun. The galaxy burned with whispers. Across alien cities, marketplaces, and even royal courts, one message spread faster than light. Humans have returned. The footage was undeniable. The asteroid fleet, the hidden warships, the precision strikes, all of it was captured and broadcasted. Leave. Every alien child, every elder, every soldier watched in shock as the myth fought with fire and fury. The alien commanders could not hide their panic anymore. Their fleets crumbled one by one, their proud ships breaking under the human assault. Yet even as they fell, one shadow lingered in the galaxy, an older, darker presence not far beneath the ruins where the young alien researcher had first discovered the tablet. A hidden vault trembled. The glowing symbols on the walls began to shift and burn brighter. The temple shook violently, as though something inside was waking after millennia. The researcher fell to his knees, clutching his tablet. His eyes widened in terror as the symbols aligned into a single phrase. The ancients rise when humans return. He gasped. No, it cannot be. The ground cracked open. From the deep abyss below the temple, a colossal machine began to lift itself upward. It was not alive in the sense of flesh and bone, but its sheer presence felt alive. A towering construct, black as void, carved with runes of forgotten power. Its eyes glowed red like dying stars. The ancients had awakened Dot above Earth. The human fleet pressed forward. Alien ships exploded in every direction, but General Elias sensed something. His brow furrowed as a strange signal filled the war room. It was not alien, it was older, colder. Report, he ordered. An officer's hands shook on the console. Sir, something enormous is coming online. The signal is ancient, beyond even their technology. She swallowed hard. It's the ancients themselves. The war room fell silent. Even the hardened veterans froze. For years, they had prepared for alien arrogance, for betrayal, for war. But this was different. This was the shadow of those who had nearly destroyed them once before. In the deep space near the archive world, the stars bent. A massive rift opened like a wound in the galaxy. From it emerged a fortress ship so vast that planets looked like stones beside it. Its surface shifted like living metal, its weapons glowing with an energy no one had seen in thousands of years. The alien fleets stopped firing. Even the humans halted their attack. All eyes turned toward the returning giants. The ancients spoke not with words, but with a voice that pierced the mind of every living being. We failed once to erase you. Now we will finish what we began. The alien commander, once arrogant, now trembled. His voice cracked. This is not possible. They are extinct. They must be extinct. But they were not on Earth's. Flagship Eternal Resolve. General Elias stood tall. He understood in that moment. The true enemy had never been the petty alien species mocking humans. They had only been shadows, imitators of the true terror. The real enemy was the ancients themselves, the ones who had tried to bury humanity in silence ages ago. Elias clenched his fist. Then we faced them. The battle erupted with a fury beyond imagination. The human fleet turned its fire on the ancient fortress ship. Beams of energy, missiles, railguns, all launched at once. Alien fleets, realizing the greater threat, hesitated, but survival forced them to join. For the first time in history, aliens and humans fought side by side, united against a greater enemy. The ancients responded with devastating power. A single blast from their fortress split through dozens of human and alien ships. Entire squadrons vanished in light. Screams filled the comms. The fortress was not a ship. It was a god of war, built to dominate. Yet the humans did not break. Ship after ship pushed forward, even as losses mounted. General Elias's voice rang through every human vessel. Remember what we are. They tried to erase us before, and we endured. We endure again. The crew shouted as one. Hope mixed with fury. On the archive world, the young researcher stumbled into the collapsing temple. He recorded everything, the rising machine, the glowing runes, the proof of the ancients' return. His voice trembled, but he whispered into his recorder, "The galaxy must know. Humans were never weak, and the ancients, they feared them. That is why they tried to erase them." His final image captured something terrifying, an ancient rune depicting humans not as prey, but as rivals. It was never about weakness. It was about fear. The ancients had always feared humanity's endurance. The final strike came when the Eternal Resolve plunged forward, engines burning hotter than ever. With alien cruisers shielding its flanks, the flagship drove straight into the heart of the ancient fortress. At the last moment, Elias gave the order. All power to the core. Humanity endures. The ship became a blazing spear of light. It pierced the fortress. A massive explosion tore across the stars, shaking entire systems. When the light faded, the ancient fortress cracked, broken. Silence fell across the galaxy. In the aftermath, only fragments of both fleets remained. Alien survivors stared at the humans in awe. No,